Data Storytellers. Finally, we're here, the second conversation on the podcast with the great Alex Dragan. Alex, before we get into the topics, welcome back on the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me again, Lasso. It's been a while indeed. It's been too long. Happy to be here.
Absolutely too long. And I think the first one we recorded was a very popular episode. That was over a year ago. I think that was summer 2023. And well, a lot happened since. I think, both in the world and in business and also at Four Seasons. So today we're going to dive into your playbook on data strategy, which I personally found fascinating just based on the preliminary conversations we've had. But before we dive into that, would you mind just sharing with us what happened with you and at Four Seasons, especially with regards to data analytics transformation in the past year or so, if you don't mind sharing?
Absolutely. And I need to start with our legal disclaimers because we want to make sure we're all covered and protected. So I'm going to say that the views and opinions expressed in this podcast are my own and not represent those of Four Seasons Hotels and Resorts or its affiliates. The content shared is based on my personal experience and insights within the industry and should not be taken as an official position or endorsement from my employer. What happened in the last year? Many things have happened, and I think last time we discussed, I was building data and analytics capabilities for our commercial team in Four Seasons, and the big change that happened in 2024, as of September 1st, 2024. With great support and sponsorship from our executive leadership team at Four Seasons, we actually created an enterprise data hub and launched a hub and spoke model for DNA, for data and analytics. And I'm happy to share that I've been selected as a leader for this enterprise data and analytics hub. So as of September 1st, moving out of our commercial team and now representing the enterprise as part of the technology and data team.
Got it. And it's very exciting for me to see the evolution of both the Four Seasons data analytics journey, but also your team. And I did enjoy our previous interactions. And also when we met in Austin, I kind of got to see and understand more about your leadership posture, right? And as a next step, I would love to explore like how you see your keys of success over the past, decade of data leadership. And I think we nailed down already a few pillars of this playbook, right? And that's what I would like to start and exploring with you. So what would you say that the first pillar is? Maybe you can also give us some context around data strategy. What does data strategy mean to you? It's one of those things that there's no specific gospel on it, right? We can only look at successes and failures of the past, and you definitely have an approach that is evidently successful. So how do you see data strategy, and what is your general context around it?
Yes, of course. Just in very, very simplistic terms, in very simple words, we want to ensure the data is leveraged as a strategic asset. My company is a hospitality company, and we provide an exceptional guest experience and memorable experiences to our guests. Data works in a similar way. We want to ensure that the data is a strategic asset for the company. And we want to ensure the businesses in general, because this is not a specific data strategy. I think in general, we want to make sure that the data continues to drive innovation, and with the support of data quality and data integrity, we can continue building scalable systems for long-term success. And it was quite interesting talking to you. I think it was a few months ago about kind of the framework of our conversation, and it was very intriguing when we discussed about the 3x3, because we were able to kind of go to a place where we looked at the data strategy in a very simplistic manner, but also very insightful. So what are the key pillars of success and what are the critical component for those three pillars. So we talked a little bit about that, and really thought-provoking for me to just organize everything in three simple points. But if I can start with number one, I call this one the transformative data utilization. So this is the analytics piece that organizations talk about, and this is the true ways of driving change, and this is a strategic use of data to drive insights. This is the ability of the organizations to drive decisions based on data and insights, and this enables the organizations to adapt quickly, enables a company like ours to personalize the guest experience and gain competitive advantage in this data-driven world. So I would say the first pillar you asked me is data transformation, transformative data utilization. And I would also call that the analytics pillar.
So, and I love like hashing out these 3x3s because actually the whole 3x3 idea too is a storytelling tool that not only helps you convey a framework to an external audience, but it helps you to organize and contextualize the work that you've been doing over the past 10 years. I've actually found that within the data storytellers community, this is one of the greatest sources of inspiration and then mutual insights between the members. And I love that it's very organic as well. So we just take a specific lens on the work that you've already done. Can I ask you a question? Because I loved, but when you send me the 3x3, I could really appreciate the very accurate use of language around these categories. So transformative data utilization as analytics. I've never heard analytics being put in those terms. And it's very descriptive, I think, and very evocative as well about the output. Why did you choose this title, and what does that mean to you? Transformative data utilization. What made you choose this as one of the top categories?
Yeah, absolutely. I think going back to my previous point, I think there are a few pillars here. You want to enable quick decision making, smart decision making. You want to continue fueling innovation for the organization and adapt quickly to the changing conditions of the market. So that's where I use the word transformative. We're constantly evolving. I use the word transformative. And then obviously the utilization piece is very important. We can go through the sub pillars there, but the utilization piece is critical because you can have a significant amount of data, but you want to use it and you want to use it in a smart way. So that was my choice of words, bringing next to data transformative and utilization. What I'm trying to wrap around this category, around this pillar, is data literacy. Number one is business intelligence and reporting, which is access to information, and then the value add, which is advanced analytics and data science. So those are the three items that I wrapped under the transformative data utilization.
And it's interesting that for you, just if we look at the playbook, AI is kind of the tip of the iceberg there, right? But underneath, you have your first category is data literacy and culture. So something that would enable that transformation to take place. So we talk a lot about data literacy and data culture. I think it's one of those buzzwords that if you go to a data conference, it's being spoken of, but it's kind of this mythical thing like, Bigfoot that no one has ever seen, but we kind of talk about it all the time, but it's very real at the same time. So what does data literacy and data culture mean to you? What would you say that a company with a strong data literacy and strong data culture actually looks like?
Well, I made this joke in the past. I said my goal is to make everyone in the company speaks data. And my wish is to end up in a place where decision making becomes less guessing and more predicting the future. Obviously, we don't have 55,000 crystal balls in the company. That's how many employees we have. But we want to get to a point where we can speak data minus the crystal ball. It's all informed in our decisions are informed in data. So basically, we want to get to a place where decisions are truly grounded in evidence. And to me, that's what data-driven decisions, data-driven organizations are. These are organizations where decisions are grounded in evidence, and where executives and employees at all levels in the organization, everyone can make smarter and faster decisions. And we also want to deliver consistent outcomes. Again, the same principle, the data-driven organizations are able to deliver consistency. Think about hospitality in general. There are decisions we need to make on a day-by-day basis. In a very simplistic manner, hospitality, it's about creating memorable experiences, checking in, checking out guests. But there are decisions that we have to make every day about how we expand our reach around the around the globe, and how do we leverage data to identify new target markets, for example, or how do we make sure the assets that we manage on behalf of our owners are optimized, are optimized? How do we ensure we continue driving brand value for our shareholders? How do we measure that? How do we create baselines? So multiple levels within that, but at core, what I call data-driven organization, data literacy, and the data-driven culture is an environment where decisions are grounded in clear evidence. So
I think that's a very clear target too, and I love hearing like the real terms and the real outcomes behind it too. And then there's that piece of actually promoting this. So I know it's a broad question and we won't have time to like go deep into every single corner, but maybe just a quick double click on this would be valuable to the audience. Is that from your experience, what were your best ways of actually promoting this? So how do you promote data literacy, and how do you foster a data-driven culture?
it's really showing the impact. The best way to promote data literacy is showing the impact of actions that are driven in insights that are driven in data, right? So I think it's simple A/B tests, and the company is moving in a more efficient way and in a more efficient manner, and we're seeing the results. We're seeing the satisfaction scores of our guests, for example. And that's all driven by all the hard work that's being done behind the scenes to optimize all these aspects of the business.
And those simple, powerful things like like a culture of experimentation and testing, and relying on evidence, and then capturing the value of that is essentially what you should focus on. Because again, with data literacy too, there's so many different approaches to it, and often it's too complicated.
Yeah, think about it as go back to our, imagine yourself being in a hotel. The way our concierge teams are trained to recognize what makes a stay memorable. It's the same thing with data. So we want everyone in the organization to become a well-informed concierge, turning information into meaningful guest experiences.
No, that's a really cool way of looking at it. And that actually ties into the BI piece, right? So with BI, business intelligence, you put providing tools for visualization, reporting, and dashboarding. Now, we've seen that sometimes data analytics programs and teams can get stuck just doing BI, right? So, but it plays a very important role. So how do you see the role of BI and the visualization piece and the reporting and the dashboarding in the context of that data-driven culture?
I see them as like a GPS for your business, because without those powerful visualizations and dashboards, you're just driving, hoping to get to the destination. But to me, dashboard is a very powerful tool to convert an incredible amount of raw data into stories.
Mhm.
This is about creating stories. This is about enabling leaders to make those fast decisions that can boost our revenues, that can elevate the customer experience, and ultimately differentiates us from the competition. And having that information in real time.
Mhm. And then I loved how this kind of leads to advanced analytics, and you put machine learning and data science and AI under advanced analytics. So, especially today when there's so much talk about AI, right? And businesses are really hungry to forge competitive advantage, leveraging those advanced analytics tools. It's really like the edge of the knife and the tip of the spear. But what do you think is required from companies to actually be able to leverage these advanced tools? What's usually the missing piece?
Um, it's a combination. I don't think necessarily a missing piece. It's a combination of factors
Hmm.
that lead to the success of a good AI program. I think it's first understanding the utilization of AI and where do you really want to double down your resources, because you can leverage AI in many, many different ways. And you can easily lose focus if you don't ground your decisions in specific use cases. You want to make sure you have the right talent in place because ultimately the engineers, the data scientists are the ones bringing the magic to life. You want to make sure you have good data and a good foundation for AI. I think the worst place you can start is AI models built on bad data. And you want to have clear utilization, whether you decide to double down your advanced analytics efforts to predict customer behavior, or you want to expand into operational efficiencies, understanding top line and cost aspects, trying to optimize those. Or you simply want to provide your employees a better experience with AI through their onboarding or through their training programs, et cetera, et cetera. So I think you need a lot of focus. I would say that's the secret for a good AI program, a lot of focus. And then again, as I said, good talent and incredibly good data.
Hmm. And as we move to the second part of your playbook, it's interesting
Just
for me to see. Yeah,
before we get
sure.
that, and I would just because I love hospitality examples, right?
Hmm.
So when you go to a restaurant and you order your food, sometimes you get the sommelier. It's a good restaurant. You get the sommelier coming, and based on what you order, they make the right recommendation for your wine pairing, right? And as you walk into that restaurant, very few people actually know what type of wine they want. But based on that choice that they made on the main dish, the sommelier will predict and will predict what the guest will enjoy because it's paired with that particular food. So say the same way, how do we enable experience? How do we tell guests? How do we um, create experiences for our customers? I use the word guest because I'm in hospitality, but how do we create experiences for our customers that they are not even aware they exist? Like we need to be able to predict and we need to be able to prescribe those experiences.
Hmm. I love that. And it's a very vivid and visual way to see the benefits and the possible outcomes of something that seems so technical, like analytics, right? It actually results in real experiences. And that's really the cutting edge. And what I wanted to say, by the way, about the second category, that it made me see how in a very smart way, from my perspective, you put the analytics piece and what it can drive and the transformations that it can achieve as the first pillar, right? It's almost counterintuitive because actually I like how you lead with this idea that it should start with what analytics will achieve. And then let's look at what are the requirements for it. So your second category, how you put trusted data practices and then in brackets governance. So it's a brilliant way to actually position governance, because governance in and of itself, it's kind of like a meaningless term. But at the heart of it is trust, that you aim to have data practices that drive trust. Like, can you just talk to me about this a little bit? This role of trust in data, because it comes up all the time, but I think you brought it to life in a very compelling way.
Yes, of course. I mean, we can get into the technical lingo and talk about catalog in MDM and reference master data, but those are complicated terms. I think we need to be able to express that in very simple terms. And I think just giving the example of AI models being grounded in good data, it's important. The same thing, if your GPS is not working and sends you to the wrong destination, again, not good. So even a dashboard, if it's grounded on bad data, then you lose trust in that, and you're no longer using that GPS platform. You're going to go to a different platform. So trust is critical. We want to make sure people care about the quality of the data. And I think I was recently attending a conference, and we had a good number of leaders, all general managers of hotels. And I was trying to find a good analogy for data and why they should care about data governance, because they all want to trust the data, but there's also the component of, hey, I need to care as well. It's not just the person responsible for the data program that should care about data quality. So the way I explained it in a very simple terms was, you have really high standards for your hotels. Your rooms have to be spotless. They have to be clean. Every detail is perfect for a five-star experience. Your restaurants are very clean. They provide that amazing dining experience. Your common spaces, everything is super well organized. And the data works the same way. We want to make sure the data is accurate, it's clean, it's organized, it's secure, and that creates the foundation for trusted decision making through dashboards, through AI, etc. So I think my message there was, and I think this applies to any type of organization. I I think when the standards of your audience will meet your standards for data quality, I think that's when you can find that true partnership that enable you to go forward with the data program. If it's really unbalanced and one part doesn't really, I wouldn't say care, but the focus is not there, then you won't be able to advance the program overall. So you need to find the right partnership with the data users, and think about in many instances our systems can be perfect, but people entering the data in the system sometimes they're very junior. So the users sometimes that are the most junior people in an organization are responsible for entering critical data.
Mm-hmm.
And then in many organizations, the service takes precedence to making sure you spend the extra 30 seconds in filling in some customer information. So how do we make them really care about that? How do we make them understand the importance of the actions they are taking? And then also ensuring that we have consistent technology practices around the organization, that things are installed, they are organized, systems and software are thought through an enterprise architecture strategy that allows you to bring this data to life. So data quality is critical. That's one component of data governance. We launched a good data governance program a few years ago, and I can see already the benefits of it, and it's making the organization now look at data with very different eyes.
And also for organizations where data analytics is now being kind of integrated into the business model. What intrigues me about your approach is that it really puts the responsibility on the data analytics function within the business to act as the steward of these trusted data practices and the trust around data, and both with regards to the clients and the customers of the business, but also for the business stakeholders, right? Like protecting the key stakeholders in this, and who else would take that responsibility of how we use data?
You need the right mix, right? The steward is one component of the overall governance program, but you also want to make sure there is clear ownership on the data. So the data owner is someone on the business side that is a champion for that data, and it's an honorary title, but they do have responsibilities, and we make that very clear to them. And there's a lot of good energy coming out of the program because once they understand the benefit of clean governed data, then we see their engagement increasing. And that requires sponsorship at highest level in the organization. So data owners are critical. Also data custodians who are it typically functions within the IT organizations. They also need to understand that the system operating properly is not sufficient. They need to see the operation of the system through the lens of data that goes through the system. So it's a good mix of data stewardship and data custodians and data owners that need to work together to achieve the goals of data governance. Ultimately, the result, I mean, governance, I will keep saying this, it's the foundation. Nothing works without governance. You don't see it most of the time, but it's like something that like let's take air conditioning in a hotel. You go there in the middle of the summer, it's not working, you know something is wrong. You know something is wrong in your hotel room because it's it's 30 degrees Celsius, or it's 80 degrees Fahrenheit, and you know something is wrong. So governance is really the silent hero of the data program.
The silent hero. I like that positioning. And actually, when I mentioned stewards, I should have said championing, because in that case, I wasn't referring to like specifically the data stewards, right? But that the idea of you being the champion of trust around data to protect your stakeholders, well, that's a key role, right? And it helps you to become that data conciliaire within the organization, the trusted advisor. And sometimes it also means that you have to take strong stances, right? That you need to actually help your business partners by being assertive in your communication about the realities around data and what it means, and how should behavior be structured around it. So I love that.
Yeah, and I think once you realize that there's value in your actions and the data program gets sponsorship at highest levels in the organization, it is a much smoother sale. And then you can easily compare products with a solid governance program behind them relative to others, and you can drive a lot of efficiency. You can run multiple projects concurrently because you have that foundation in place. While without it, you have to run those projects as individual projects. I have many examples where with a solid data governance in place, the same team can probably run at least 3, 4 times faster.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And with this, so it's interesting that your third category, essentially data infrastructure and integration, um, that's the last point, right? But it is foundational in a different way as how it's foundational to governance. So what is the relationship between a data-driven organization and the technology landscape around it? Because I think that relationship is often misunderstood, and people have the wrong assumptions about that.
I don't want this to become a bit of a like building blocks and 1, 2, 3, because I
Hmm.
think they're all important. I almost see them as a cycle, as a circle. with
Hmm.
1 to 3. Without technology, I mean, data and technology go hand in hand. And without technology, you won't be able to advance your data program. So I think if you look at technology as an enabler for the data program, um, you have multiple areas there where you need to have a very solid data architecture program in place to ensure the systems um, work together. You're building a scalable and future-proof architecture supporting the organization, and you have data engineering practices that allow you to integrate multiple systems. So a lot of companies have tens, maybe hundreds of systems, some of them cloud-based, some of them local hosted. And the data engineering is that also the silent heroes that bring everything together in one place. And with the right architecture, the right engineering, you bring the data management component into play. So I wouldn't say technology is lost. I would say it's equally as important as analytics, as governance, and it's critical to have a very robust technology framework supporting your data program.
Hmm. And with regards to, then I love the idea that it's more like a circle, right? Where these areas amplify each other and feed into each other, and they are kind of codependent. So, with regards to technology, so a lot of people don't really even know that there are such things as, data architecture. They don't know what actually goes into the storage and just basically the technological underpinnings of them interacting, let's say, with ChatGPT. Right, they don't have no idea what happens under the hood there. But how do you see this technology landscape evolving and right now, where we are with this in terms of where it's going, like data technology and data infrastructure, what are the things that we can do today that were just simply not technologically possible 5 years ago that you consider to be some of the key drivers and the most significant future growth opportunities as well?
You made a comment that these things sometimes are not seen; they're behind the scene. That is correct, but I think it comes down to us as data leaders to continue elevating those roles and continue recognizing the importance of the people behind the scenes that make all this magic happen. Because uh, they are critical. They are critical for the success of the organization, as important as the data scientists or the storytellers that deliver the final recommendation to the business. They are highly skilled, highly organized. Think about how you run a program through agile operating model, and think about sprint by sprint by sprint. They get to the end of the marathon, I would say, right? So it's very important to acknowledge and recognize the importance of technology as part of the data program. And the reason I mentioned architecture is because many companies have multiple technologies in place, and silos are not efficient. They are not effective. You can build things within a silo, but the true value of your data program comes when you bring everything together. So uh, building building good integration between your technologies and having the right mix of cloud architecture versus on-premise will allow you to create robust data models that are taking you to the next level um, um, of artificial intelligence and machine learning. And if you ask what is available now that maybe 5 years ago was not that prominent, I think cloud technology allows us to do things faster, better. It allows us to integrate faster with all these silos of data. And the power of AI and LLMs allow you to bring significant efficiencies to push hard on unstructured data analytics, which was almost impossible 10, 15 years ago. So I would say things that are becoming more accessible and will change the face of analytics are cloud computing and LLMs.
Hmm. And what's very interesting to me, and this actually kind of ties into the whole idea of creating experiences. So when we had on the show Lance Glosmeyer from Dairy Queen. So he's the VP of Data Analytics there. And what we really looked at is that idea of the customer journey, right? So they actually did the guest journey, which you guys have over at Four Seasons as well. And then with the guest journey, so there is that relationship that's being established between, like, let's say in your case, Four Seasons and then the guest, and they go through a particular series of experiences, and each of those experiences now today can actually be measured and improved, right? And then a lot that happens, happens on in the technology side, of course. But what I would be interested in hearing is that do you guys over at Four Seasons have a particular like approach towards observing and measuring the guest journey specifically? And then how does that look like? So people who don't know what analytics actually does in the background, right? Maybe you can bring a few cool aspects of it that would bring it to life.
Yeah, and it's a great topic. Personalization is a key area of differentiation for our company. I won't go into a lot of details. But if you experience our brand, you will see exactly how these things come to life because it's going to feel very seamless.
Mm,
And you have to look at the entire customer journey. Four Seasons recently went beyond hotels and resorts. We dropped hotels and resorts because we are now a luxury company that is active within the hotels and resorts, which is the core business. But we also have an emerging residential business, standalone residential business, and probably if you go on our website, you will see our new yacht and private jet. So we want you to stay with us, own, live with us, and also travel with us. So when you think about those dimensions of luxury hospitality, customer journey analytics, it's an end-to-end experience. AI plays a significant role along that journey. From the moment you make a reservation, it's a transaction. You make that transaction online, or you call your travel agent, or you call the hotel. We want to be able to provide you with some additional recommendations, whether it's an add-on to your reservation. It's a new feature, it's a restaurant reservation, it's an upgrade to your entry-level room that you selected. That can only be done understanding your past behavior, your preferences, your feedback. That allows us to craft that personalized story that resonates. Um, and then from the reservation phase, um, we can continue in the pre-stay phase with continuing to improve that experience, and we can continue trying to curate your experience. And again, AI can play a significant role there, where along that journey between reservation and stay, you can receive some notification. We can ask you if you're interested in any type of services, or if you are ready to make a reservation at our Michelin star restaurant. We have the highest number of Michelin stars among all luxury hospitality brands out there. And then once you arrive in the hotel, things get quite interesting because that's where the agility comes to place. We need to be able to track real time in the interactions and be able to gather feedback. And that's where it becomes a bit of an art and science to be able to refine that guest experience. It can be partially driven by AI, but mostly driven by people once you are on site. And of course, once the guest checks out, there are many opportunities to re-engage and ensure you understand whether they had a good experience. You're able to collect feedback, you're able to track sentiment, and you're able to qualify that sentiment. And you know, the objective is to ensure the guest had a memorable experience and is able to share that with friends, with family, and ultimately come back. I mean, happy guests return and continue advocating for the brand, continue spending more money. So I'm not giving you specific examples of AI, but I kind of alluding throughout the customer journey, see many opportunities where AI and data can elevate the experience. I'm not sure
Mhm.
if that answers
No,
your
and
question.
no, it was a fantastic answer because it did exactly what I was looking for, which was really bringing it to life. Like, what does it mean that data analytics will impact someone's experience with actually Four Seasons? It's funny because I just spoke to um, Dave Coughlin, another advisory board member, right? And he said that, oh yeah, we actually stayed at the Four Seasons, and it was very nice. So if you happen to speak to Alex, just tell him that whatever they're doing, it's working. And it's very interesting to me because you also pointed out that, let's say, AI is simply a tool here behind the scenes that would amplify the human skill and creativity and the teamwork that happens. So it's not like a silver bullet, right? But it's a very sharp tool in that arsenal that you guys can actually drop on these problems that no one else can really solve. So I think it's a very inspiring way of framing this whole data analytics effort, and how the heroes behind the scenes make all this happen. So I don't know if you have any final comments on that, on the mission of the data leader, which is just emerging before our very eyes in these very exciting years.
Just one comment. It is working. Yes, we believe it's working. I think we live in a world of gamification, and I personally am not a big subscriber of gamification when it comes to loyalty. I think points are great. They make me spend more money in certain areas. I'm not sure if I become an advocate for the brand because of that. So I think it's the experience that
Mm.
drives that fidelity for the brand. And think about with all the data in place, imagine we have a good amount of information that you are willing to share, and we look at your past behavior. We understand what time you typically arrive if you are a repeat guest, or what are your dining experience, what are your preferences when you dine, and we look at your past requests. And just imagine a place where you, as a front desk person, have a tool that enables you to look at the person in front of you. They are checking in, it's a couple, and you actually know, based on the information you collected in the past and the information shared by the guest, that it's their anniversary. And you also know what their favorite room type is. It's the little corner suite with a beautiful river view. And you also know what their preferred wine is, and you are able, knowing that, to say happy anniversary, and you're able to send their favorite
Mm.
bottle of wine to the room and create a nice amenity for them. And that's all driven by data. And just imagine the impact when, without even sharing why you ended up there, you are actually getting acknowledged, and you get a congratulation message, and you get your favorite wine at the table. So those are examples. There are so many, but I think that's a pretty compelling one, and I can probably give many others in the same area.
I love that because I think your playbook is ultimately about creating amazing data-driven experiences. That's what we just talked about during this podcast, right? So how do you create these amazing data-driven experiences? And that was the playbook. And I think that was that was a lot of meat on the bone there. And I really enjoyed it, sir. I think it was a very, very strong follow-up to the first one that we did when we kind of talked about your career, and we hashed out a few interesting concepts and stories, but I think we really brought it to life today. And I'm very much looking forward to seeing this playbook also in the context of of that mini movie come to life. So thank you very much for your time. It was a lot of fun today.
Absolutely, you're welcome. And really, congratulations for what you're building. I love the community. I love listening to other members' podcasts and stories. And I think you're doing a wonderful job. And I have my entire team is listening to your podcast, and they're very insightful. So, also, thank you for inviting me. And thank you for doing what you're doing. It's needed in our industry.
Very much appreciated, and it's my pleasure. And unfortunately, I can't take too much credit for it, right? Because all I'm doing is I'm kind of conducting these stories to happen, and I'm very much just enjoying the ride as a spectator. And if it actually creates like a more cohesive vision in your businesses about data leadership, and it creates all these wonderful effects downstream, then that's just bonus. So thank you very much, and I'm sure we'll speak again very soon.
Sounds good. Thank you so much, Last. Talk soon.